All right.
You are watching the Deadfoot Diver Podcast with Curt, the Deadfoot Diver.
Hey, welcome to the Deadfoot Diver today, and I am pleased to have on my podcast one of the greatest podcast for scuba diving, Dive Talk.
No.
Woody, how's it going?
Well,
I mean, Gus.
yeah, it's you got 50-50 chance, so that was good. But no, like that intro, you're listening to Deadfoot Diver. That was pretty awesome. We don't have an intro like that. We got to work on getting something better.
I was actually lucky because David Lee, the guy who does all the Supercross and Monster Jam commercials, I became disabled actually motocrossing.
I know.
So,
I saw your intro. I'm like, I heard that voice before. Now I get it. It's the motocross guy or the monster truck guy.
Monster Jam. Yep, he does both of
Monster
those. So I reached out to him, and he actually recorded the intro for me. And then the music is actually a song called "Another Man's Gun," which is by a performer up here named Ray Lally. He had about 4 or 5 albums out, and he actually was my guitar teacher.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's awesome. Good job.
Thanks, man. So I'm so glad to have you on today. Hopefully, I'm going to get Woody on here at some point too.
Yeah.
But this is awesome to have you on. So tell me, how did you first get into diving and then it progressed into this big dive talk boom?
So I got into diving in 2018. I was going on vacation to Iceland with my wife, and I looked up things to do in Iceland, and number one was scuba diving. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, who's diving in freezing waters? Apparently a lot of people. So I found Silfra, which a lot of people are familiar with. It's in every diver's like bucket list. And I went and got certified, dry suit certified, all that stuff. And I went and dove at Silfra, and I just like fell in love with it. And I started diving every weekend. I think on that first year I did like 250 dives or something like that. And I just haven't stopped ever since. Just keep learning and trying new things. And I just haven't found kind of the end of it. I haven't gotten to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm happy. I'm satisfied with what I know and what I do. I'm always constantly just looking for things to do and to learn. And luckily in scuba diving, there's always someone better than you and more experienced than you to learn from. So I've been very lucky to have a lot of people like Woody, you mentioned, in my life that have been great mentors. And that's why I'm here.
That's amazing. So what gave you the idea to start Dive Talk up?
Yeah, so Dive Talk was kind of a byproduct of something that I was doing before, which was doing podcasts. For my professional life, I work in IT, and I had a podcast for years before Dive Talk. So I already had all the equipment, everything you're seeing right now, the camera, like all this microphone and stuff. And I was doing podcasts on my own. And then when I started driving down to Florida with Woody and we would talk about diving for hours, I said, look, I think like some people will be interested in listening to these conversations or participating in these conversations. And I already have the equipment. Like, why don't we just record something? And the first episode we recorded together was about dive agencies. And it was one of those things where people are always asking, like, should I go PADI? Should I go SSI? Like, what agency do you recommend? And the two of us kind of agree that the agencies are not as relevant as the instructors. If you have a good instructor, it doesn't really matter what agency they have. You're going to have a good class and a good experience and perhaps learn really good skills. So we kind of recorded that conversation, put it out there, and like 100 people listened to it. And we were like, whoa, like we thought like 4 of our friends maybe would listen to some of it. And then all of a sudden 100 people listened to it. So we recorded episode 2 and then episode 3. And after a while, there were like 1,000 people listening to it. And we're like, what is happening right now? So it was one of those things that just evolved over time. But it was just a coincidence that I already had the equipment. And Woody had been in radio before. He does investment and stuff like that. He had like a show about personal investment and retirements and stuff like that. And so he enjoyed talking into a microphone. I enjoyed it too. And the two of us just started getting after it. And here we are.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys have expanded so much. I mean, you guys, all the merchandise that you have the Dive Talk Academy now that you guys
Yeah.
just started. Which I guess, are you guys just doing the Nitrox and the Rebreather on
Well,
that so far?
the goal of Diveheart Academy is to be an agency like other agencies in the market with a few things that make it, I think, more compatible with what people expect from dive agencies. You know, when we started doing the show, like everything we've done in Dive Talk and everything we have created after that, like you mentioned, the merch and Dive Talk Academy and the Go Rebreather and the meetup that we do every year, all of that came from direct feedback from listeners, from people that watch the show. So we realized that the problems that people see with the current agencies like Patty, SSI, and all these other agencies are not likely to be solved by the agencies that introduced the problems to begin with. So somebody else had to come in and do something about it. And that's where Dive Talk Academy came from. It's directly from feedback. We're not doing everything just like every other agency's doing. If that was the case, there will be no point on doing that. The merchandise came from that as well. People seeing us wearing, t-shirts and stuff. Hey, I won one. And we do give away a lot of t-shirts when we meet with people. Like if you're a DEMA, for example, and you stop by our booth, or if we're walking around, more than likely we have t-shirts and we give them away. And if we're down diving in Florida and somebody say, hey, are you Gus and Woody? Yep, here's a t-shirt. We give them away. But obviously, if you live somewhere else where you don't have access to events like that, we made it so you can buy merchandise and represent the show. We sell them at cost. We don't need to charge you to do marketing for us, right? So,
Yeah.
Everything that we're doing, the meetup is another example of that. People are like, how can I dive with you guys? I will travel anywhere to dive with you. Well, great. Let's get together somewhere 1 week a year and let's dive together for a week. So we've been doing that every year now this will be our fourth. Let me see, Florida,
Wow.
Cozumel, Bonaire, and now is Roatan, where we get together with over 100 divers. We had 135 last year. So it's a big group of people diving all together for a week. And we bring in speakers and stuff like that because people want to listen from people that are experts in the industry. So we bring people in. And it's been a great roller coaster. So I don't know what else is in the future of Dive Talk. Like I said, everything we do, we obsessed. We obsess over our customers. We obsess over the people that watch the show. And if you look at the videos that we make, like the reaction videos, they all come from suggestions from the audience. Hey, I want to hear what you guys think about this. And then they send us the video and we record our reaction to it. So Dive Talk is driven by the community and the people that watch it.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome show. I love watching your episodes. So, and the stuff that you guys get into. I remember the one I watched about the girl that got crushed in the dry suit, and I was like,
Terrible.
oh my God. So, but yeah, no, it's also a really good thing that you guys do because you diagnose all these incidents that, and let's face it, almost unless you have a medical emergency, every incident's diver related
Right.
from making a mistake.
Yeah,
So,
or an oversight. Obviously, nobody's starting a dive thinking that they're gonna have an incident or get hurt or whatever. I'm sure you got hurt doing motocross. You didn't expect that was gonna happen, right? There's
no,
always a risk, but
actually twice.
twice. Okay. But yeah, I mean, what we try to do is we try to learn from videos that we react to. If there's something to learn from them, sometimes the videos that we watch are just there's nothing to learn from it other than don't do it. Like when people go inside a cave and they're not cave trained or have the proper equipment to do it, even when they survive and nothing happened, like they didn't get lost, they didn't drown or anything like that, it's still, please don't do that. Like they got lucky. That doesn't mean that you should do it too, that kind of thing. And we've always said that we're not the best divers. Like we're not on Dive Talk saying we're elite divers and Navy SEALs. Like, no, we're like regular divers that have these skills that we learn from other people that are way better than us, and then allows us to do these dives safely or as safe as possible. Right. So that's really the idea behind the reaction to these videos, is to teach people from what we're seeing on the videos that we're reacting to.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, I love your format for that you guys have. So, So
Yeah.
tell me about. Let's talk about your new rebreather, the
Mm.
Go Rebreather.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty fascinated about it, especially since the pictures I've seen it with the size, for one thing, and the fact you
Yeah.
can basically stick it into a suitcase. So tell me about, of all things, how did you get involved in designing a rebreather?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. So basically, the rebreather was designed by Mike Young, right? He is the creator of Kiss rebreathers like the Sidewinder, the Spirit. He sold thousands and has designed many rebreathers in the past. So basically, the idea came from the feedback that we hear from people watching our channel, and they see us diving rebreathers, and there's always like one of those comments like, I wish I could do rebreathers. I wish I could dive rebreathers, but insert reason here. The number one reason was the price. It's just way too much money. I don't have $10,000, $20,000 to buy a rebreather and get trained and all that. I just can't afford it. That's number one. Number two, the rebreather's too big. I can't, put this thing in my back. Some of these rebreathers are 80 pounds, right? When you have them all set up, like how many people can go up on a boat with 80 pounds on their back? I'm sure there's a lot, and people watching and criticizing us for doing that. They're like, oh, that's easy. I'll do two of them, right? I get it. Um, but and the other one was, I'm not a cave explorer diving for 10 hours. Why do I need a rebreather? All the dives that I do are like 60 feet, 20-meter dives, just in the ocean, looking at pretty fish or drifting in Cozumel, Florida. Like those are the dives that I do. Why would I spend all that money on a rebreather? So we took all that feedback and we reached out to Mike and said, it would be awesome if somebody created a rebreather that works for the 99% of people and divers out there, divers and dives out there, rather than, I don't know why, for some reason, rebreather manufacturers are obsessed with like, oh, the founder is a cave explorer, so we made this rebreather for him. Like, well, no, we didn't set out to create the Go as what is the best rebreather for Gus and Woody or for Mike or Ed or like some of these legends that are part of Dive Talk, the Dive Talk family. Is we set out to create a unit that works for the 99% of people that won't be doing the kind of dives that Mike Young does because he's a world-class cave explorer. So that's when we got together with Mike, and he had been working on a unit that wasn't specifically for the 99 percenters. He had some other kind of mission profile that he had in mind. But when we started seeing the features that he was building into it, we realized that, man, this rebreather will be really awesome for the average diver, the person that is really struggling, for example, with surface air consumption rates and struggling with the fact that they go down and they run out of air faster than everyone, and things like that. This rebreather really gives people the opportunity to experience what it's like to dive for 2.5 hours and to be able to go down to 60 meters, or now with the extension that we introduced this week, now you can go to 100 meters and dive for 6 hours long. Like imagine spending 6 hours underwater.
Yeah,
It's
that's
amazing.
amazing.
And the fact that it's so small, Woody traveled to Germany. We went to the boat show in Dusseldorf last week, and he traveled to Germany on a carry-on, so a small bag, and he had two full rebreathers inside of it, right? It's unbelievable. So those things, how easy it is to, travel with, how easy it is to don because it attaches to any BCD you own. That's another thing. People are like, look, I don't want to, it's not just the $10,000 that a rebreather costs. It's all the other gear that I have to buy to be able to dive it. With the Go, it works with whatever you own already. It doesn't matter what BCD you own. It doesn't matter what configuration you dive. You can just clip it into your stuff and go dive. So all of those things is what really makes the rebreather shine. So it's less expensive than every other unit in the market. Starts at $3,500, whereas most
Yeah.
rebreathers start at $7,500, $10,000. So you can buy two or three goes for the price of another rebreather. And the work of breathing is almost second to none. Like we reviewed the work of breathing studies and independent studies done in 30 different units. And the only other unit that scored better than the Dive Go was the JJ CCR, which is a lot more
Really?
money, let's just say, and a lot bigger than the Go. So, and we actually issued a challenge. We told people like, look, if you're open to it, send us your rebreather and we can run the same tests in all the units so we can then confirm, in fact, which one is the rebreather that breathes the best, that has the best work of breathing. So the Go is a simple unit with the best work of breathing out there and definitely the best price.
That's amazing. Yeah, and your
Yeah.
price is definitely a lot cheaper, and to have a unit that you can throw in a carry-on bag, that's a huge advantage. I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
Yeah, and it is cheaper than other units, but we did that by making some changes that you don't see in the industry. One of them is we make things in bulk. We made a lot of units, which reduces the price by the manufacturers. We make everything in the US. The second thing is we work direct to consumers. So you can order from Divetalk, which eliminates middlemen that will mark up the prices, right? So there are a lot of things that we have done to reduce the price as much as possible. And to be honest, when we started thinking about the rebreather, I wanted to be less than $3,000. I'm like, can we make this thing for less than 3,000? Unfortunately, obviously inflation, all those things came in to kick us, and we had to go a little bit above 3,000 as a starting price. But even at 3,500, there's nothing like that in the market. Like even semi-closed rebreathers that nobody should buy, by the way, are way more than $3,500. So fully closed rebreather that you can dive for 6 hours is unheard of for 3,500 bucks.
yeah, exactly. And so for 3,500 bucks, does that get you like everything you need to basically go to your test, go to your cert and dive in the water?
No, I mean, you still have to get the training, like every other unit. You have to
Oh,
get
yeah, what do
certified,
you
and the cost of training varies depending on where you live, right? The cost of training in the US is different than in Malaysia, for example, or Philippines or wherever you are. So the cost varies depending on that. It's a full rebreather class. There's no shortcuts. So you will take a full rebreather class in order to get certified. But there are other parts that you have to get in order to dive a rebreather, like a computer, for example. So we use Shearwater standard computers that are 4-pin. So we didn't build that into the price because we want to give people the choice to either use an existing computer, like every kid's rebreather, for example, that I own uses the 4-pin. So I didn't have to buy an extra computer, or you can buy it used for cheaper. Or if you're a dealer, for example, we know that a lot of these rebreathers are bought by shops that are dealers. Just buy it directly from Shearwater and save the you don't have to buy from us, right? So we wanted to give people the choice. You can definitely buy the computer from us for whatever the price is dictated by Shearwater, or you can just pick it up somewhere else. So we didn't force people into the price to buy a computer. You can just pick that up separately. The same thing with the O2 tank. Some people have small O2 tanks they can use. You don't have to buy from us. We obviously offer one, a 10.4 cubic foot tank you can buy from us. But if you already have like a 13 cubic foot laying around, it will work with a Go. So you don't have to buy from us. So there are a few things that we added as an option just so people can decide if they want to buy it from us or directly from the dealer down the street. If you have a local dealer that you'd rather buy the Shearwater computer from, go ahead and do that, right? We gave you the option. So the 3,500 doesn't include those things.
Yeah, which that's still good though, because it gives you a lot of flexibility with it on what you want for your build. So
Yeah, I mean, fully spec'd out. Like if you add computer, tank, everything, it's still cheaper than the starting point of the next rebreather up. I mean, it's still inexpensive, no matter how you see it.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, what do you guys do as far as like how long's the training course and the how many dives and stuff do you guys do with it?
Yeah, it depends on whether you're already rebreather certified or not. If you're already certified on a rebreather, you have a crossover class, which is shorter than the regular class. But again, this depends on the instructor and how they do it. Some instructors will just do it 4 or 5 days in a row. Some instructors will do, initially a couple of dives and then break it into like multiple weekends. So it really depends on the instructor. We have minimums, and our minimums are decided or designated by RESA, which is the Rebreather Education and Safety Association. They set up the minimum standards for all rebreather manufacturers, so we abide by them. So we follow the same training and same minimum standards that other manufacturers follow. So it really depends on whether you're certified or not and whether you're doing a crossover or a full class.
And is your because your unit's smaller, is it less maintenance on it as well? Like how long does it take you to like prep it and stuff like
Uh,
that?
I wouldn't say it's less maintenance or more maintenance. You do have the yearly maintenance that you do in every unit, and we actually introduced something that I've never heard of in the industry, which is as long as you do the regular scheduled maintenance every year, we will guarantee the unit for life. So it's lifetime warranty on the unit because again, one of the things that we wanted to eliminate is some of the reasons why people have even in some cases fatalities with rebreathers, which is poor maintenance, right? So we're encouraging people like, please maintain your unit. And as long as you do it, we will guarantee it for life. So you own a Go for 5 years and I don't know, your MAV doesn't work right or your ADV starts acting up. We will replace it or fix it or whatever for free as long as you maintain this unit, every
Wow.
year and stay on top of it. Yeah. So I don't think it's more maintenance. I would say perhaps it's more encouraged for you to do the maintenance because we want you to, dive equipment that is following manufacturer specs. But it's no more or less than other, at least the way other equipment should be maintained, just because it's smaller. Now it's still a rebreather. You have to maintain it.
Yeah, that's amazing though that you guys have managed to get it down like that. Um, I definitely want to try one of your rebreathers at some point. Uh,
Absolutely.
especially especially as far as cost factor goes.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you know, I know I'm actually gonna try a rebreather for the first time in the next month or so.
Nice.
So, yeah, a friend of mine, Matt at Dan's Dive Shop, he's gonna actually do a pool session for me, and we're gonna video it. Because when I started doing this whole thing, I was like, "I'm not doing rebreathers. I'm terrified on rebreathers." What which is funny because when I was younger, it was and when I was first into diving back in the 90s, like, "Oh, yeah, I'd try that," right? When it was, like, mega expensive and
Right.
really hard to get training. And then now when I started, it's like, okay." We'll
Yeah.
see, but now I actually do wanna try them, and I absolutely wanna try yours at some point because, first of all, the weight, which would be a huge difference for me because
Yeah.
of my legs and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
It
We're talking
and
about
probably
22
using a side
pounds.
mount.
22 pounds fully assemble, right? With sorb, with everything, the tank, the whole unit. And actually, I was talking to Akam, who is our instructor in Europe, and he said that his unit, he hasn't been able to hit 22 pounds. The most that he's gotten is about 18 pounds, fully assembled and filled with sorb. Again, in the water is neutral. It doesn't weigh anything in the water. It's only when you're getting from, let's say, the bench on your boat to jump in the water. I mean, having something that is 20 pounds on you versus 80 really, really helps.
Oh, yeah, especially when you're somebody like me who's pinned and plated up majorly and doesn't
Yeah,
have that
exactly.
much flexibility, right? I mean, that's the whole reason I'm going to side mount diving this year is because of my legs. And up here in Georgian Bay, where I do most of my diving, especially if I'm doing shore dives, it's all rock. So
Exactly.
it's not fun for me to get in. I do not look pretty when I get in. I usually end up going a couple of steps, then face
Yeah,
planting down and then dragging myself out towards just deeper water. So 20
exactly.
pounds would be amazing for me for anything.
Yeah. It's only like 10 pounds when it's empty. So, like for travel and stuff, it's like super lightweight. But I'm glad that you're doing a tried rebreather. That's what I tell people. Like, don't just judge any unit, not just the Go, but any unit. Don't judge it just by what you see or you read on the internet and advice from experts out in the internet. Go and try it on your own. Schedule a try rebreather, try it out, and see if you like it or not. The Go is a very specific unit that blows people's minds when they try it. It's one of those things that is like, this thing is so tiny. Like, how can it be good? And then you try it in the water and you're like, whoa, this thing is amazing. And I think it's a testament to the genius of Mike Young. I think Mike is one of the most underrated, engineers, minds out in diving. I mean, he can create anything. He's unbelievable. And I don't think a lot of people don't understand or appreciate what he's able to accomplish, not just with the Go, but across his career. I mean, he's been designing rebreathers for decades at this point.
Yeah, I've heard that. Actually, I reached out to him the other day. I'm hoping to get him on at some point to talk about his
He would be
Sidewinder and
awesome.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Deadfoot Diver. Subscribe and share. Your support means the world to me. If you'd like to contribute directly, you can do so at the link in the description at buymeacoffee.com/deadfootdiver. Every donation helps me work towards earning my adaptive dive buddy certification, travel costs to help me assist other adaptive divers, and covering further training and equipment costs, bringing you on even more exciting adventures. Don't forget to check out my guest links in the description. And remember, grab an adventure and live, and don't ever let a disability keep you down. So because I know rebreathers still have a lot of negative connotations with a lot of people. And I mean, when I first started diving again this year after being out of it for so long, because I was out of it for like 26 years, basically. And I was shocked at actually why. I mean, I think overall in general, I was shocked at the amount that sort of technical diving has progressed, period. And then how it's merging with recreational a lot more. Like, never in a million years did I ever think I would see Patty teaching rebreather courses or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think it's becoming a lot more common and mainstream. It really depends also. Like I think like I mentioned last week, we were at the boat show in Germany, and it seems like Europe is a lot more friendly and open to rebreathers. Like, and even some countries within Europe seem to be a lot more common to find rebreather divers, and others maybe not as common. But yeah, it's becoming a lot more mainstream. I think a lot more people are interested in looking into it. I always tell people that, in my opinion, diving rebreathers is safer than diving open circuit, just because you carry open circuit for emergencies. So even if your rebreather completely fails, you have a full open circuit setup to fall back into. Whereas when you have open circuit and your entire open circuit fails, you have your buddy and hopefully make it to the surface. So I think rebreathers are safer to dive, and I've caught a lot of slack for this, for the statements. I still believe it. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot more people are interested in looking into it, and I encourage everyone to do it. Again, even if the Go is not the right fit, because I don't think the Dive Talk Go is the right fit for everyone. There's people out there that are like, but I dive in super tight caves. Well, the Dive Talk Go wasn't designed to go into super tight caves. The Sidewinder is a great unit for that, and other side mount rebreathers are great units for that. I think that there are tools for every situation. The Go was designed for the 99 or 99.9% of divers who just jump off a boat or shore dive, go down, look at pretty fish for a couple hours, and then come back out. It's not one of those units that are designed for super tight cave exploration. Now, having said that, it's a full technical rebreather. I mean, it can go to 330 feet for 6 hours. So you can do some pretty technical dives with the Dive Talk Go, but again, it's not for everyone. There are some people out there that should find another tool, and it will work for them better, and so be it.
well, the other reason that I've started taking more interest in rebreathers is because I when I got back into diving again, I was just getting out of technical diving when getting into technical diving when I stopped diving back in the 90s. And I decided to probably about after about 5 or 6 dives this year, it's like I know I'm gonna end up doing some technical stuff. As soon as I put the tank back on. But
Yeah.
I think the thing with me with it was that with the rebreather is I was chatting with Greg Hilliard, who owns Subsea Propulsion Systems up here, the DPV retailer, who's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he has a charter boat that's like an hour north of me. Actually, it's on my way to Tobermory. So, and he does a lot of technical stuff. So I said, okay, here's a wreck I want to do on your boat. What do I need for certifications? What do I need for gas? All that type of stuff, right? And if I'm doing it on open circuit. So he gave me a list of the stuff. And when we got to the gas, he's like, okay, are you sitting down?
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars every dive. Yeah.
It was literally for a 20-minute bottom time on this wreck was going to cost me like 350 to 400
Yeah.
bucks in gas.
Yeah. Gas that you're not gonna get back. You breathe it out and it goes away.
So he's and then right in the next line he's like, okay, now on my rebreather, and he gave me the cost size
12
rebreather
bucks.
than yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a bit of a price difference there. Even my wife is starting to less harden her opinion on rebreathers after I told her that, and the cost factor involved with gas and how much helium is. I was stunned. I was like, how does anybody even do open circuit trimix anymore at that
I
price?
know it's insane, and again, it's an investment up front because you do have to buy a rebreather and you do have to go get certified. I mean, there's some cost up front, but over time, if you're doing trimix dives, then it's gonna pay by itself. But not only that, it's just the added experience. Even if you're in open circuit, you're not doing a 6-hour dive in open circuit. That would be thousands of
Oh,
dollars worth of gas. So you get access to much more. Doing a 2-hour drift dive, that's easy with the Go. You don't even need the extension. You can just jump in the water and do a 2-hour drift dive. Whereas before, for you or for some people, that was unheard of. It's like the best I can get is 30 minutes. Well, now you can do 2 hours, 2.5 hours, no problem. So, yes, there is money up front. It's going to cost you, but also you gain all these abilities and capabilities that you didn't have before with open circuit.
yeah. And like you said, not only that, I mean, every person that I've interviewed so far for my podcast that teaches rebreathers, and I mean, I've had Jill Heinarth on,
I
John
know. I saw that.
Chatterton. I've
Unbelievable.
had, I've got a pretty, I've been lucky. I've got a pretty stellar lineup.
And then me right here at the
No,
bottom. After
no.
you come from that high and then crashed.
Well, not only that, it's like that. After I said to my wife, I said, okay, this might be hard to keep up with this guest list after I'm starting off so big. So,
Yeah.
uh, uh,
Well, the
but
good news is that whoever you have after me will be better. Better diver, better everything. So we're good. So you're going on the way up again.
all
That's
right,
good.
so I get plateau up again. so, so, um, yeah, so I'm actually really looking forward to doing some rebreather stuff because everybody I've had on has said that no, you got to try this. It's actually way safer than scuba.
For sure.
So, yeah, I am looking forward to actually trying it this year and see what's happening with it. And I probably cost wise and stuff, I'm more interested in your unit than a lot of the other units I've checked out for sure, cost
Yeah,
wise. But not only that, because of the weight and the portability of it, because I can just
absolutely.
pick it up and take it anywhere with me, which is a huge advantage that you definitely cannot get on scuba stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, I think the cost obviously is very attractive to people. The fact that it costs sometimes half or a third of some of these bigger units, right? That's huge. But it doesn't matter if it costs half if the rebreather itself was terrible, right? If the work of breathing was horrible, if the rebreather was flooding or failing every time you try to go dive, if it was poor quality, then it just wouldn't make sense, even for half the price. But that's what we're telling people: just go and try it, so you can see
Not
that.
only
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
Not only that, you got a lifetime warranty on it. Like nobody does that for stuff like
Exactly.
that. So like I mean right there that's a big thing for people, especially at the cost of a rebreather and how much the parts are and stuff like that for it.
Correct.
So how many what's going to be up for Dive Talk Academy? Are you guys going to start doing like more different courses and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, we think Dive Talk Academy is going to grow into a full-fledged agency. And it's always interesting when people ask us, well, are you a member of RSTC? The RSTC, which is the Recreational Scuba Training Council, is the group that is made by the large agencies, PADI, SSI, etc. And this little club they have created, it's basically designed in a way that doesn't really allow for easy access by new agencies. For example, one of the requirements is that we have to be an agency for 4 years before we can even apply to become members of RSTC. So even if we wanted to be RSTC members, just like Patty and everyone else, we can't do it for 4 years. So, which is difficult because when you're trying to take training, they're basically discouraging people from taking training through agencies that are not RSTC members. So, how how are you going around and saying you shouldn't take training with agencies that are not members, but by the way, you cannot be a member for 4 years? So it's like, well, now what do we do? So what we did is from the beginning, Woody and I decided that we're gonna follow and exceed all standards set by RSTC, ISO, and RESA, which is the Rebreather Educational and Safety Association, as we mentioned before. So we're following all the standards. All of our classes follow the standards that all these big agencies follow. So the idea is when we get to 4 years or whenever it is, if we decide to be members of RSCC, then we can become members with all of our classes. So right now we have only 2 classes live, which are Nitrox and the Go Rebreather training course. But we are getting very close to releasing the advanced Nitrox and decompression procedures class, which people that are taking Nitrox are asking for. They want to know, how can I take it to the next level using Nitrox for decompression and doing longer dives and taking stages with me and whatnot. So Woody and I are working on releasing that. And eventually, yes, to open water, night unlimited visibility, rescue, like all the specialties. And we have partnered up with Inner Space Explorers. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's an agency that is a DIR agency. It's on par with, GUE, Unified Team Diving, and all of those other DIR agencies that teach the highest level of technical diving. So we're
Yep.
partnering up with them to introduce technical classes through Dive Talk Academy. The first one will be Dive Talk Fundamentals, which is, it's comparable with GUE fundamentals or the Basis of Exploration, the BOE class, which is part of Inner Space Explorers. So we're going to be introducing this class that is designed to take people's skills to the next level, right? Even if you're a diver, you've been diving for years, you're going to come to this class and we're going to take it to explorer level. That's why it's called Basis of Explorations under Inner Space Explorer. And then we will be able to help people gain even better and higher skills through the partnership that we will have with Inner Space Explorers. So one thing that we knew when we started Dive Talk Academy is that Woody and I are not gurus and experts on any of this stuff. So we're partnering up with actual experts in the industry to create every class and to, bring in instructors that have been doing this for a lot longer than us. So every class that you will see in Dive Talk Academy will be under heavy influence from industry experts, and obviously including the experience that Woody and I have had over the years. I only started diving, in 2018, so it hasn't been as long as Woody. Woody has been diving for 50 years and has been instructing for way longer than I've been a diver. So there's definitely experience, but we're still bringing in expertise from other places. And I think that is the biggest benefit of Dive Talk, is that it has opened the doors for us to meet and work with literally the greatest people out there, and they will influence everything we do as part of the academy.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, that's the one thing I found about doing this podcast. I mean, the amount of people I've met and who I've met has been incredible, and who I now can bounce ideas off and like, hey, what should I do for this? So it's awesome that way, and that's really good that you guys are going to expand that way and not expand too quickly. So do you think you're gonna did you guys run in any flack about when you launched any of your certs about, well, we're not gonna accept you as a new cert type thing with it?
Well, we know that RSTC agencies only accept each other's, certifications in terms of reciprocity. So like if you are going to take a dry suit class through Patty and you're in open water from SSI, they will accept that and teach you the dry suit class. Like we know that within agencies, there's reciprocity as long as you're a member of RSCC. But when it comes to accepting the certifications and the cards, the agencies don't really matter as much as the operators themselves, right? When you go and you want to go diving, will this boat accept my Go certification class, or will this operator fill my tanks with nitrox if I have a Dive Talk Academy card? And the answer is yes. We haven't found any place in the world now. Woody and I have been diving all over the place where we have been questioned or denied our certifications. And for me, is awesome because I am Dive Talk Academy diver number 2. So it's so much easier now when I go to like Ginny Springs or whatever, and it says certification number, and I just put number 2. It's awesome. It's been great to memorize that. So we haven't caught any flack from anyone. However, we do remain open-minded to the fact that, you go diving in Turkey or some other place where they don't even know Dive Talk exists. They may be like, wait, is this legit or whatever? And we make it easy for people to reach us out so we can, talk to dive centers that may find an issue with it or whatever. We just haven't. We've been lucky. And I get it. Dive Talk Academy is not that big. We only have a little over 100 people certified so far. We only launched last year in August. So, once that goes into the thousands or whatever, perhaps we will start seeing more reports. But as of now, we've been pretty lucky. We have someone who has dived the Go in like, I don't know, like 4 different continents, like 20 countries or whatever. And they've had no issues. Egypt, like, just all over the place. And the Dive Talk Academy certification is accepted by operators all over the world. Again, I think it really helps that we have from day one followed all the standards that all the other agencies follow, even though we didn't have to because we're not members of RSCC. We decided to do it anyway, and that has paid off.
Yeah, I know. I was impressed when I was looking at the Dive Talk Academy website because you guys even have your rebreather manuals right up there for anybody to go through and
Yeah,
look at, which
absolutely.
is really good. So, yeah, I definitely want to try one of your rebreathers at some point. So maybe we can set something up when I'm in Florida for Dima or something, and we'll
Yeah. Yeah, we actually have a shop. One of our instructors in Orlando is doing a try rebreather, I believe, this week, and they have over 20 people coming in and trying it out. So we're very, very excited, and I know that we're about to set one up in Europe with Akem leading in Germany. I think 2 or 3 locations after the show, boot show. We had like over 40 people that wanted to try it. So yeah, it's all like it's just words, and I get it. I agree with you. This is all just words. Oh yeah, the rebreather is so great. Whatever, the rebreather is awesome. Go try it. Right. Once you try it, you'll want to get one.
yeah,
Because that was my experience. When Mike let me try the prototype, it wasn't even called the Go then. It didn't even have a name, and I just jumped in a pool and I tried it on a pool for the first time. It was the very first one ever made. And it was amazing. I was in love with it immediately. It was the easiest work of breathing I've ever felt. It was just so great. And I still feel it when I jump in the ocean or in a cave because I've taken the Go cave diving too. And it's just awesome. There's nothing easier to breathe out there. It's so good. So, yeah, if you have a chance, go try it.
yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely gonna put it on my list. Especially if I do end up looking at a rebreather as well, because I mean yours will be the top on the list because of price for sure.
Yeah.
That definitely opens it up to a lot of people. Also saves a lot of marriages. I would say. So does your wife scuba dive?
No. No,
No.
she's not interested. My wife is, and I'm sure a lot of people identify with this. She prefers to lay in the sun reading a book than actually being in the ocean. Like it's always funny because we've been on vacation. Like I remember we went on a vacation to Antigua, which is an island in the Caribbean, and like the water looks Photoshop. It's like the bluest water I've ever seen. And like I've been all over the world, and Antigua is still number one for me in terms of the beauty of the water. And she never got in the ocean. I'm like, what? You could have lain the sun at home in Atlanta. Like it's the same sun. Like why are we here in this island? Whereas for me, like I am attracted to the water. I've been like that since I was a kid. I started competitive swimming when I was 5. I
Wow.
play water polo. Like I was always in a pool. I love it. But she is not like me. She has never been really super interested. I wish she was, but at the same time, if she was, then I have to carry twice the equipment and dealing with twice the tank. So I don't know.
Oh,
It's like pros and cons, you know?
well,
So
yeah, yeah, but see, I'm in sort of an opposite situation to you. My wife used to be a diver. She's actually done all kinds of cave diving and stuff like that
that's
before we
awesome.
met. And then she ended up getting COVID. She no longer she's got asthma now, so she can't
Yeah.
dive.
Oh man.
Um, yeah, I know it sucks because I'd have a built-in dive buddy anytime I wanted, right?
I know.
But she's living vicariously through me and supporting all of this stuff, crazy stuff. So
That's
I'm
good.
lucky that way. But what does your wife think about you doing all this technical diving?
She's not
Because
a
I
fan.
know that. Hmm?
She's not a big
She-
fan. That's for sure. Especially when we go in, cave exploration trips and things, the whole thought of me going into a hole that no human has ever been into that could collapse, on top of me and bury me alive. Like that. I mean, she understands that that's always a risk. And fortunately, that's not something that happened from day one. It's one of those things where it's like you dial it little by little, where you become a cavern diver and you do that for a while, and then you start doing some cave diving, and it's very, in big caves and that kind of thing. And little by little, you just keep dipping your toes into more advanced things. And now, for example, we're about to go into my fifth exploration trip where we're going to be mapping and diving in virgin caves, which is pretty cool. So at this
Yeah.
point I've laid line in thousands and thousands of feet of line in caves, and I really really love it. So it's one of those things that I think every time I go on a trip and I come back with nothing but positive and great stories. She's getting more used to it. But the other thing is, she has had the opportunity to meet the wives of people like Mike Young, for example, Sherry, who, they have the opportunity to talk. And like when you compare the dives that I do with the dives Mike has done, obviously he's a world class elite cave explorer. I'm not. So she has the ability to talk to people like Sherry and understand her perspective. And I think that has really helped. But she's not a huge fan. Like if I stop diving tomorrow, I think she would be happy. But she supports me, and she's able to stay at home with the kids. We have 3 kids here at home. And so she supports that. At the same time, I don't abuse it. I'm not diving every weekend out the way I used to when I learned how to dive. I've kind of cut down a lot. I do it once a month, but every time
Once
I
a
do it,
month.
just once a month, but every time I do it, I go for it. I really try to do something big, something good. And I really enjoy it. And people enjoy it too because we put it out on Dive Talk and they get to watch.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, plus you work full-time IT still, right?
I do, yeah. Unfortunately.
Yes.
And I can say that openly because I own my own company. So like I'm my own boss. I'm not gonna get fired by myself. So I can say that I wish I could just dive full time and do YouTube full time, but yeah, we're nowhere near that.
No, but that's still awesome. I mean, I do IT as well, so
Cool.
I hear you there. So yeah, no, that's amazing. Well, I would really like to thank you for coming on today, Gus. It's been an awesome pleasure to catch up to you and dive talk and stuff. And
Yeah.
have you guys got any big events planned coming up, by the way, before I forget?
Well, we have the meetup coming up, which is in July. It's going to be in Roatan. We will have over 100 people there. Hopefully, we get to 200 people going there. We have amazing speakers. We have tons of giveaways. Last year, we gave away 4 rebreathers, by the way,
For
as part of
Rebreather.
4 rebreathers. Yeah, as part of 71 prizes. The other prizes were also very cool. We gave away dive watches and all kinds of stuff. Over $5,000 in Orca torch lights we gave away as well. So
Wow.
we gave a lot of stuff away last year, and this year will be the same thing. We already have some cool stuff lined up to give away. So that is the next big thing that we have. We always have little things here and there, opportunities to go into awesome dives. Like I mentioned, we're about to go into our 5th expedition trip to Mexico, and we have more stuff coming in April and May and whatever. There's always, like I said, once a month we have something going. But the next big thing will be the meetup in July, which we're really looking forward to.
Wow, that's really cool. I'll have to check and see if I can catch one of those. Maybe I'll win a rebreather.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's every time people are like, they go to the meetup and then they end up, coming back with thousands of dollars worth of prizes, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's definitely awesome. Because let's face it, dive stuff is not cheap these days.
Yeah, and from day one, we have sponsors like Orca Torch has sponsored the meetup. Deep Six, we've had sponsor the meetup. We've had Kiss Rebreathers sponsor the meetup, and all we do is we go to all these companies and say, we want you to sponsor this meetup, but don't give us any money. Just give us stuff to give away. That's all we ask for. So we have never taken a single dollar from any company to sponsor the meetup. All we ask for is give me stuff to give away and we'll give it away to the attendees. So that's how we're able to get some of the price, not all of them. Some other ones we just pay for it ourselves, like obviously our rebreathers that we gave away. Nobody's gonna buy those, right? They're Dive Talk rebreathers, and we've given away several Kiss rebreathers. Last year, for example, we gave away a Sidewinder too. So whenever that's released, the winner will get a Sidewinder too. So yeah, I mean, some of these units are not sponsored, we pay for it, but I think it's all part of the experience. The Dive Talk meetups are a week of just amazing workshops, amazing speakers, and giveaways. Every day there's something going on. We did a trim and buoyancy workshop or masterclass, I think we called it, where we got one-on-one, me and Woody and others experts, that were there jump in with you on the water and help you get your trim and buoyancy. You look like a cave diver no matter how new you are in the sport or not.
Yep.
So we work with everyone to help them with their gear and everything to be set up and be in proper trim and buoyancy. We did some practicing on SMB deployment or DSMB deployments. This year we have Mike doing clinics about equipment maintenance, for example, regulator maintenance and stuff like that. All of those workshops are included as part of the trip. So it's not a regular dive trip where you just go and dive and go to sleep. This is every day there's something, and it's all a celebration of the Dive Talk community. So Woody and I look forward to this week like for months. Like as soon as the meetup is over and we pick the next destination, all we do is like, man, I wish the meetup was next week. I wish like we're always looking forward to it because we get to spend a week diving with the people that watch our channel and we love it.
Yeah, which is awesome. That's super cool. Well, thank you very much, Gus, for coming on today. I really appreciate it. It's been amazing to talk to you. And remember, everybody, thanks for watching. And Gus's links to Dive Talk are going to be down below. And thanks, everybody. And remember, like, share, and subscribe.